Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, we hear you.
That was a little bit of technological intrigue, and that was a way to lift Megan's heart rate. That was to give her cardio, noting that she will have to run the next 2 hours of live webcasting. Good morning, colleagues, and welcome to Digital Office Hours. Thank the goodness we have Kate. Oh, and can I say we didn't get the memo, Megan? So Kate and Gay have got a bit of a blue thing going on as a calming, nurturing colour. Oh, you look gorgeous. Oh, Lorraine's just added to this.
I'm so sorry. I have got some background music playing.
That's great.
I have about 50 pages open, so I need to find where
Megan,
it
it's
is.
obviously Blue Day today.
Yes, we have some bird music. I'll be back.
So the first thing is, Lorraine, that's great. We were just talking about the nature of blue, and then in comes Paul as well. So it's a blue trope, and it just leaves Megan and I to just sort of occupy a different space. Can I say, Lorraine, don't worry, the nature of Generation X, which you and I are both proudly a member of that generation, is that we do open up 27,000 tabs because we are able to be cognizant of that degree of complexity and plurality, including the bird noises that suddenly emerge for no apparent reason. I also get a barking dog. Can I say often I've got something up because I'm a bit obsessed by big dogs, as you can obviously tell by the people I've married. I'm a bit obsessed by big dogs. And so I sort of have also pulled these websites up, about, I like the wolfhounds, and like the Tibetan, what are they? The Tibetan bull mastiffs. And I'm sort of thinking a Tibetan bull mastiff in Darwin would not be a functional animal. But I'm thrilled. Oh, and we've got Donna in too. Good evening, Donna.
Greetings, greetings.
We are thrilled. I feel like we're doing that Tilda Swinton moment, like, dark greetings, dark greetings. It is lovely to see you all. And Josh is in. Josh, who is the star of the internet and beyond. Josh, good morning.
Morning, everyone.
How fantastic are you? And Jess, the light of our lives, has joined us, fresh in white. You got to have your life together. If you're going to wear white, Jess, you've got to have your life together. Good morning.
Well, that's the plan. Good morning.
Yeah, my life's not together, which is why I wear black. Right, so colleagues, it's fantastic. Lorraine, by the way, is slightly distracted trying to work out which tab has the bird noises. So we'll just work out what's going on with the bird noises, but we've got the gang here, so I'm thrilled. Now, colleagues, we'll start as we always start and just see if there are questions and issues or any topic or anything you'd like to address. Obviously, we get a lot of requests and they're covering my desk at the moment, but we need to start with you. Yes, Gay, any kind of wolfhound. That's my next husband. Or we've got friends in to stop the bird noises. The millennial comes in to sort out the bird noises. Lorraine, we need to have you running your own talk show. This is fantastic. So colleagues, and Kylie's in, speaking of the light of our lives, good morning, beautiful Kylie.
Good morning, team. I've missed you so much over the last couple of weeks. I'm so excited.
Look, we've missed you too. This year, I'm not sure. Look, in fact, I do know. I think you've had the worst 2023 of anybody I know, Kylie. # no pressure. How are you feeling, mate?
Yeah, good. A very quick downward slide to Christmas, but it rained the other day and we had 4 of our shitty roofs not leak. The first time in probably 30 years. So, yeah.
And can I say, Kylie, that promotional video of your wonderful university looked magnificent. I thought, why am I not living there? So
yes, I was very proud with that. I've actually showed the 2IC of the grounds guys, and I want to play it at our new next Pillbox talk. So because it looks great, looks so clean. It's amazing what happens when you wash some buildings and gurney some paths and actually get rid of all the yucky stuff that's built up over 30 years.
Look, I love building washing. I think that's underestimated. But I've had some high pressure hose work on my previous houses, and it is transformative of one's life. Can I say the 2 students in the promotional video laying on the green grass with their computer, like # life goals. I went,
yes.
What have I been doing with my life that's not me, Kylie?
We've also had that with one of the res colleges. We did a lot of work over the last probably 5 months too, and they're actually sitting out studying student experiences. It's crazy, isn't it? What a bit of love and a bit of TLC to the spaces can encourage students to use it.
And high pressure hosing. Never underestimate high pressure hosing. So look, we may involve Kylie in her query or questions, but so colleagues, is there any pressing issue that we need to start the day with? So do we start with Jess, or anybody has a pressing issue? Let's go for it. But Jess is often our focus, moving her post the COC. How's the writing this week gone, Jess? I've been worried about you. By the way, she checked in. She did her half an hour for me. She's a rock star. So Jess, how are you feeling?
I'm actually feeling really pumped for the project now. I'm feeling really back on track. I just made some calls and some changes about stuff that didn't interest me, and I'm feeling good. Yeah, I'm feeling good.
Now, we have had a query from somebody who is anonymous but slightly fixated by you, Jess, but not in a bad way. They're about to go into their COC in February, and they wanted to know, I won't name them, they want to know what tip you would offer to them, because obviously it was quite, and look, I'll use the word traumatic. Megan's my expert in dark greetings and the dark side of the universe, but Jess, it was a challenging moment for you. What would you have done differently? What sort of, looking back on it now when you're free and great and strong, what went wrong, what went right, and what would you advise to someone heading to a February milestone?
That's a good question, Tara, and I hadn't really thought of this until you were talking then, but I think the biggest mistake I made was that I went into it thinking I had all the answers, and I don't think you can go in with that mindset. You go in, I went in thinking I have to prove that I know everything, and I know what I'm doing, and I have all these answers, and that's why it was such a crash and fall for me, because it was this wake up call of, no, you don't. This is why you're doing a PhD. You're going to figure this out along the way. And I did really, as a person and a professional, I didn't like that, but I had to go through it, obviously, to just sort of shake me up and let me loosen up and let go of some of the reins. Yeah,
it sounds like a country song, doesn't it? Yes, the country song's like are you drinking with me, Jesus? It's like release yourself to the goalposts of life, And Jess, what I get my students to do, and I should tell all our crew at CDU, is on a card have a phrase like, "Thank you so much for that commentary. Thank you so much for that comment, for that insight. I'll take that on board."
Yeah.
And so therefore, if something comes, they go, "Well, why aren't you dealing with vampires?" Right? So, and of course your thesis has nothing to do with vampires and post-traumatic growth and all that. So why aren't you dealing with late Marxist theorizations of the nation state? And you go, well, thank you very much for that commentary. I'll take that on board. So would that sort of phrase calm you, and just anything weird happens, out it goes?
Yes, absolutely. That would have really helped. I think what didn't help too was my experiences for, nearly 20 years of being a teacher. So I was used to, when I present, being the expert on a topic in the room. This wasn't the case.
Yes.
And I had to get with that.
Now, Megan's straight in. Megan, Megan's lipsticked up. So, Megan, do you want to speak to this truth, girlfriend? Come on.
Oh, absolutely. We haven't come in to do a PhD as babies. Like, most of us here have many decades of experience and considered to be experts. But I hate that terminology, because X is an unknown quantity and spurt is a drip under pressure. But we come with a certain level of knowledge that is valued in our own academic circles. Then we come to do a PhD and we know nothing. Yeah, because everything changes. Theories change. Writers change. Like the writers of the contemporary writers in my field are not the contemporary writers of 30 years ago. So I had to get my head around all of that too. Yeah, so it is a big adjustment. But I'm hearing you, Jess, and well done to you for just sticking with it and now thriving. After struggle comes victory, and you're there, girl. So congratulations.
Thank you, Megan.
After
That's
struggle,
awesome.
yeah. Be careful, Megan, because I can see Kylie creating a meme as we speak. That's going to be up online in about 12 seconds. After struggle comes victory. I live through Kylie's memes, just so you know. So that's brilliant, Megan. And Jess, it is uncomfortable as one reaches a certain age, and you are much younger than me. And can I say there is a challenge in your particular age group because you have these incredible expertise and you've had to struggle to get onto that mountain, right? And so to have someone suddenly take an axe to your neck and to your back and to your face and go, and so everything you've sort of achieved, you sort of go, was it meaningless? Whereas see, by my age, you know, I've had bits of me knocked off and, you know, and I'm of a particular age of Generation X, older even than Lorraine. And so, you know, people think the feedback will hurt me. Well, it hurt me. Nothing will hurt me. Anything you could say has been said 15 times before. Dark greetings. And so, Jess, it will get better, but what's happened is you've been knocked. And as Megan has said, the courage is you're in the middle of this mess, this terrible confronting situation, and you stood up and you kept standing and you walked out of there.
Tara, it's strange that we're talking about this morning because, well, no, it's serendipitous, I suppose, because on my walk this morning, I was looking up at these huge big gum trees, right? Huge mountain, just giant gum trees, and then looking at the ground at all the big mess, you know, the mess that gum trees have. There's bark and big branches and everything everywhere. And it occurred to me that look at what they've had to let go of to grow that big. All of this stuff on the ground, they've had to shed, they've had to drop massive parts of themselves. This is part of a transformation. You've got to let some stuff go.
Right, so Kylie is generating about 37 memes in the next 12 seconds, right? Lorraine, do you want to speak to this? Well, bits of me are coming out of my body at this point.
I just love that. And my clients over the coming weeks and months will be hearing that. That's a perfect analogy. It really is. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm such a visual person, and many of my clients are as well. So you just, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let go, grow, move on. Don't hold on. Don't look at past as failures or mistakes. Learning opportunities, growth paths. It's different.
Yeah.
Different
I doubt
ways.
the tree's sitting there thinking, oh, look at that beautiful bit of bark. I really liked that bit of bark. That was my favorite bit. No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, thanks for that, Jess. I love it.
I'm not sure what A-class pharmaceutical I dropped before digital office hours, but wow, it's kicking in at this point. So, Gay, straight to you.
Jess, I want you to have a look at this recording when it goes up and have a look at the expressions on people's faces when you talked about that tree shedding.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Jess, you're so Kylie has finished creating 37 memes and she's back. So Kylie, talk to us. Sound angel.
Sorry, who would have thought by this stage you'd know that? I only just was looking at a gum tree driving into work this morning, and it had just dropped, and all the leaves after all the rain that we've had the last few days, all the bark was around it, and I thought to myself, how beautiful is that? How pretty. And it again, serendipitous that you've mentioned that today, Jess. I'm just like, wow.
And this is great, Jess. And the challenge is, and I suppose this links beautifully to the candidature issue that our friend wanted you to talk about. I mean, this is going to change their lives, to be honest with you. But it's also not mourning what was lost either. I think I probably wasted decades of my life going, this is who I was at this point, and Christ, how much have I lost? How much of me have I lost to get here? And you know, and thinking I'm 30 times, I'm 3,000 times worse than I was when I was 25. What the hell's gone on? But actually, Jess, it's the capacity to let it go and just go, this is where we are now, looking up, getting the sunlight, looking up and letting what's on the ground go. Oh, that's unbelievable. Oh, and look, we've got our wonderful crew, and Queen Bess is back and joining us too. So Bess, beautiful time for you to be joining back. How were your travels, darling?
Absolutely insane.
Insane.
I have a lot of good material. There were a lot of truly bizarre little roadblocks on the way, but lots of wonderful people helping me along the way as well. And I have stuff. I have material. I have stuff that I can't access because there was a fire and then a flood in 1916.
Obviously.
So I've got to work around that. But yeah, I'm now probably going to be spending Right Club sorting a zillion photos because I was just photo scanning document after document after document that if I didn't, I'm not going to have access to after this. So
Brilliant, Bess. I think that is tremendous. And you know, what a bit of spice to add to your methodology. There was a fire in 1916. Deal with that.
oh, and then they lugged what they had left down the road on 2 costermongers' carts and decided that the bath was a good place to store the files.
Well, look, that's where I store mine. So good on you, Bess. You have been missed. We followed your travels, and you are a blessing to us.
Thank you.
All stunning. So I'm just checking any other key question, because Paul, as Paul and I always do on his Thursday night, my Friday morning, he gave me a list of things to talk about, but I just want to make sure. So Donna's all right, Lorraine's all right, Gay's in. Gay, talk to me, superstar. And then Kate's in, I think. Go, Gay.
It's not for me, Tara. I was wondering whether Bess wanted to talk about the leave of absence thing.
Actually, that I was wondering whether I should talk about the leave of absence thing.
Your call, Bess, darling. Your call.
Well, I don't think I have much of a choice at this
Right.
point, because we've had so many health issues in my family this year, and I've just come back to my husband in absolute agony with a diabetic-related shoulder injury that came out of completely nowhere. Like this is the man who has the highest pain threshold of anyone I know, and I had him in emergency yesterday, and he called it a 12 out of 10. So I've come back at the day before I left. I got my performance review from the university. It wasn't nasty, it was just realistic. And it was, you've got 12 weeks to get yourself back on track. And I mentioned that, well, I mean, you know, Tanya knows I was away for 6 of those 12 weeks. So, and I haven't had time to do the writing. I've been finding material because that's about all I had the energy to, but processing the information onto the page was just so hard before I went away, while I was trying to organize everything at such short notice as well, because if I didn't get over there, those archives, as you know, weren't going to be open anymore.
Right.
I'm wondering whether 6 months is a stupid idea. I certainly can't fix this in 6 weeks, not with what's going on now.
Right. So Bess, I can address that. I'll put my Dean hat on. I'll take my mate hat off for you.
No, that's fine.
Let's
I
put
want
the
Dean hat. Yeah.
Let's put the Dean hat on, and I'll explain the institutional challenge. In Australia at the moment, and of course in the UK, for my colleagues in the UK, we pinch this system from you, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Our legislation only pays to pay for the student at the end. The RTP legislation only pays at the point of completion. So every day a student is involved, we're paying your fees, we're paying, you know, all sorts of offsets. So we carry all the money it costs to create the thesis for a possible payday. 50% of students that start don't finish. And so you can see, so actually every single student owes the university almost double what they would bring in, right? So that's challenging. So that's why universities tighten up, because we try and make sure that, you know, we support you the best we can, but also noting that every day is stopping another human enrolling, right? So that's why universities do what seems seemingly cruel things like 12 weeks, sort yourself out.
No, that's fair.
Oh yeah, but what I would say, so I've got 2 bits to this.
Oh, I am already part-time, by the way.
Yes. So what I would do is, even though deans are zombies, we are benevolent zombies. So what I would say to you is I would write down everything you have done. So for example, you doing that fieldwork trip in the United Kingdom and getting data sets that are gone in a matter of weeks, that gets you back on track. So pretty well now you've done most of your data collection. What I would use in the next few weeks you've got is create the timeline. Use a damn Gantt chart, follow Kylie, use a damn Gantt chart. She loves the charts, and show us what you can do, what can be finished and the deadlines for those chapters and objects. So data collection, processing the photographs, be as granular as you like, and present that Gantt chart. Now, the benevolent zombie deans will look at that and go, look, Bess, you're doing your best, girlfriend, and they should be calm with that. So that's the first thing I'd say to you, is that people are being dreadful humans because we have to be, because our systems are just triaging and we're sacking staff. So that's why
I don't think anybody's being dreadful, Tara. Realistically, as I said, I don't know when this medical situation or the multiple medical situations are going to resolve themselves at the moment.
Correct.
6 months to catch up with gay coaching, it may be a more sensible move.
Look, it may do. And that's why my last point to you is about the LOA. Now, you're a bright woman, you're a mature woman. So let me give you what the research shows about leave of absence. The reason why I rarely recommend it, and by the way, I do in your case, but the reason I rarely recommend it is because a characteristic of students that are tricked, the characteristic of the students that don't finish, is that they go on leaves of absence. So when I'm in an exit interview with a human being and I look at their candidature, the characteristic of students that don't finish, there are two. They delay their milestones are late, and they go on leave of absence or suspension. So that's why, Bess, I try and get students to resolve the problems in real time rather than delay a milestone or delay a leave of absence, because they are proxies. It's correlative, not causal, Bess, but are correlative for not completing the thesis. So, Bess, you're a mature woman. I've given you that information and that research. You know that. So with consciousness, you can go into the LOA. And by the way, what I do as dean with my students is I see the students the day before they go into a leave of absence and the day they come back. So in social work speak, Megan, is of course through care. So I'm giving them through care to enable them going into the LOA, knowing what they have to do, and then welcoming them back so that they then don't waste a day and they're back in the program. So, Bess, I would take an LOA. I wouldn't take 6 months, darling. I would take 3. And Gay, you obviously working very strongly with Bess. I would ask you, Bess, no matter what else is happening with your amazing husband and family, touch the thesis every day for me. Do a reference, find a photograph, put a photograph in, fix a caption. Don't go a day without touching your thesis.
That wasn't the plan.
And that might resolve the proxies that emerge post the LOA. Does that help, Bess?
Yeah, it's getting to it's the writing. I said that's really I'm blocked because of the amount of stress that I've been under this year, and some of that was relieved by being away for the 6 weeks, and I made sure that I took my weekends and I went and saw some fun stuff as well. But yeah, it's tiring. So.
Bess, Angel, we are all with you. We love you to pieces. Angel, when you're overwhelmed, how I handle it, and obviously we've got much better humans on the call than me, but Bess, how I handle it when there's 75,000 things and you're going, what is even a priority? I just choose one and start and I finish it. So I wake up in the morning, doesn't matter if it's small, doesn't matter if it's a really nightmare email where someone's I go, today, I will open that email, I will write the tough email, and I will send it. And that is a successful day. So when you're overwhelmed, write down the job, do the job, and you're winning.
Oh, look, I was on a 3-page to-do list before I left, and trying to get rid of 3 things a day, and I successfully did it. But yeah, that didn't involve getting to my thesis.
Angel, just one. Give yourself one thesis job a day, and you will be amazed doing one thesis job a day. I mean, we did it with Kate and Eunice, incredibly busy humans, and they just gave me one job a day, and they finished so quickly, Bess. So I would take a 3-month LOA. I would write back to the university and list the incredible work you've done. You've done your field trip, you've done your data collection, explain the matter with your husband and your family and health matters. Explain it, darling, to your level of personal and professional comfort. Because those of us that have the privilege of being a dean in environments where most of our students are over the age of 40, life happens. You know, life, I know, seems very complicated when you're 22. It ain't nothing compared to when you're 52. And people know that. People know that. So with honesty and robustness and care, as long as you've got a plan, darling, because deans don't want to set you up to fail. The only thing worse than wasting 2 years of your life is wasting 4.
Yeah.
Therefore, show us that we can care for you and we're not setting you up to fail. Okay.
Yeah. The one thing I did get out of this trip, being around so many other people within guiding, which is the whole point of this, of this thesis, was meeting and seeing how many people are actually interested in what I'm doing. So I'm really, really lucky to have the cheer squad that probably so few people have. And that's what's kept me coming back. Even after a 5-year gap, I've come back and gone, no, I need to do this thesis. And I think it's just sort of that, I came back after 5 years and bam, it all hit at once. So,
and Angel, just remember today that the thesis matters and you matter.
Yeah.
You matter a lot. Okay. So just center yourself with the mattering and then create a plan. And you know the research, so I've just given you the research, so you know what people are going, are we setting Bess up to fail? Address that issue and we're winning, Angel, and we'll get home for you, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll still, any leave of absence is not going to be, sitting on my ass doing nothing by any means, but I probably need to take Christmas. At this stage. Yeah,
Angel, absolutely. And darling, you're a blessing to us. So look, speaking of unbelievably inspirational humans, Kate wants to talk with us. So Kate, wow, I love you, Bess. Kate, darling, talk to us.
It's just a bit of encouragement for everyone. And even after I finished my thesis and handed in March, it took till this morning. I was sitting on my balcony watching the ocean, having coffee, watching the sunrise, waiting for dolphins. And it suddenly hit me. I've done a thesis. I've finished a PhD. And this is months since I finished. But I actually feel truly calm, which I haven't done for years and years and, well, decades probably, because I'm that old.
It's unbelievable. It's that calmness I think we're lacking as a culture, Kate.
Yeah.
But it worries me that with all the success and the wonderful family and the professional success you've had, that calmness comes now.
Yeah. Many months after March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, 8 months, and I felt it this morning. But I don't want to put any of you off. Some of you look exhausted at that. No, it will all happen. Sue understands, don't you, Sue?
Yes. Sue, because it's big, you see. See, again, it's that mattering. It's funny, I was writing a chapter on mattering this morning. It's the mattering. If we can just hold on to, I think in our culture, it's one of my weird things, that tiny things that don't matter at all are always where it's like a mosquito, right? Things that don't matter at all. And we lose the importance. We lose the mattering. And so Kate has been able to, 8 months later, actually cognise, actually click in, you know what, this mattered to me as a human. This mattered to knowledge, and a part of my life that was stressful and worrying, I can let go. Wow. That is amazing. Unbelievable. So, right. So we've handled beautiful Bess. We've handled beautiful Kate. Now, colleagues, any other questions as Paul and I move into the Paul zone? Are we right? So Megan Dunn, how are you going, sweet? This has been amazing. My head's exploded.
Yeah, I just want to add something for Bess, that we know what we know with overwhelm is that overwhelm leads to confusion, and confusion leads to inaction. So if you flip it, and it's exactly what Tara was saying, just do one thing. So action is the antidote for overwhelm, but it can't be big action. It can only be little action. So that one tiny thing makes such a difference.
Yeah.
But yes, to answer your question, Tara, I'm going fine. I'm glad to have my house back to myself. The retreat starts on Thursday. Is that a week away? Yeah, today's Friday. Retreat starts on Thursday. So I have a few days to myself before my husband comes home and everybody else arrives. So I'm rocking it. I'm writing like crazy.
You keep going. I tell you what, that great conversation Jess had with you, Megan, in terms of the confirmation of cancer, it wasn't planned for you. The person that's asked for that wasn't you, and it wasn't Piper, but gee, that's helpful. Unbelievable. And Josh Australian, the man, the myth, the legend that's taking over academic publishing. Good morning, Josh.
Hello. I wanted to ask, I've really enjoyed your SOTL vlog this week, and I'm really excited for the SOS one. So some of this might be covered next week. So if so, please feel free to tell me to shut up. But I was wondering, I'm doing work at the moment looking at doctoral students that do scholarship of supervision, because I think I had it in mind a couple of years back, and I felt like it wasn't my place to do it. And then I noticed that you suggested it to doctoral students. And so, you know, I'm very much of the opinion that it is an appropriate thing to do, and it's an under-recognized option for people. But I'm just wondering if you have any particular lens that you use on this, because I think for undergraduates, students as partners is almost the term that's used, or is it co-design, or you know, like, I'm just wondering how to actually speak about it, or if people have spoken about it, what sort of labels have they used?
Yeah, oh, and Josh, no, brilliantly done. And sorry, I just respond a bit viscerally at the moment to co-design. It's one of my, you know, it's on my sort of 2023 bingo card that I share with Kylie, you know, like grounded theory, co-design. And, you know, just there are certain that I go, really, I'm a bit sick in my mouth, and then I calm down again. So Josh, absolutely. So SOS is big. And in many ways, Josh, this comes from a lot of the research in the Scandinavian nations, particularly Sweden and Finland. And they showed that attrition in higher degree programs is managed and lessened if students reflect on their candidature on the way through. So the first thing is that reflection model, you know, Brookfield and so forth, you know, blogging and so forth, all of that reflective space on what's happening to them enables them to finish. Now, probably the most efficient way to reflect on the process that also creates publications is SOS. Now, why SOS matters is it also stops the binary opposition of student supervisor, supervisors blame the students blame the supervisor. Success is found in doctoral education in the space between the student and the supervisor, and that's where SOS exists. So scholarship of supervision allows both parties, who are often different generations, different professions, different expertise, allows them to speak their research literacies and learn from each other. So in fact, Piper, who is Megan's wonderful partner in crime that I'm working with, Piper and I have made a decision to write 6 SOS pieces during her candidature. And the first one was, and we've just about finished, the nature of capitalism and higher education, obviously. But the second one is on the confirmation of candidature as an experience for students. So it comes, Josh, from the disciplinary specificity, because that's what makes SOS different from doctoral studies. Doctoral studies spreads through the disciplines, but SOS comes from the disciplines and then provides and works and operates and dances in that space between student and supervisor. So it can be on the events that occur in doctoral education, or it can also be about the troubles, the problems, the context, the social semiotic of it, and know that for the student, you know, because it requires a partnership between student and supervisor, know that for the student, it also enables their completion as shown by the research and the reflection on the candidature. Does that help a bit?
Helps a lot. I think I had confused and tied up scholarship of supervision and then doctoral education research. And I didn't realize that scholarship supervision, like SOTL, is kind of honed in the disciplines themselves. Because I've noticed quite a bit that there's stuff that I want to do where it's reflection on my own candidature and quite specific, gritty details that are of critical moments of practice. But then there's also a lot of literature, particularly out of the States, with students that do a PhD in doctoral education, which I don't know, I find it bizarre. Yeah.
So mate, doctoral studies with the journal doctoral studies is a particularly North American phenomena. It tends to also be one of two things, Josh, either quant, and I have enormous respect for quant, but it's heavily quant, or it is the data set of one. So have I told you about me? Let me tell you about me. Let me tell you about how much I hate my supervisor. Now, that's validating too, because, you need to sort of manage that pain, or else you end up old and wizened like me, waiting for the supervisor to die. And that's not healthy, Josh. It's not healthy, mate. So in some ways, sort of expressing the rage, sort of like, I'm damn angry and I can't take it anymore, hanging out of the window, but publishing it, that probably has some value too. But Josh, the gift of perhaps not being quite working in that meso or macro space rather than the micro or mega, working in that interesting, sandwich meat space has a lot of gift for SOS, I think, and helps the student and helps the supervisor learn what's going right and what's going wrong, stuff I would never know about. And so, Josh, we wrote some of that work that changed my life with Narelle Hunter. And of course, that came from biology education, looking at disciplinary literacies. And there was a suite of, I think we did 4. They weren't her thesis. They were the meta on the thesis afterwards. And, that's been quite useful for people thinking about research literacies and disciplinary literacies. Does that give you a bit of a starter yogurt before next week?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, sorry, I'm just not patient enough to wait for next week. Yeah, I'm just in the middle of it right now, and I thought, I'll just ask. Thank you.
I'm learning it every morning now. And I recorded about 2 a.m. on Thursday morning. So I was like, I'm there, brother. I'm there. You're a legend, Josh. Can't manage without you. And look, Paul, we're up, brother. We have some things to talk about. We should also do a big thank you to Catherine, our dear asynchronous friend, who I believe described our last work on sonic education as changing the very nature of doctoral education. No pressure, brother. Now, what I've written down in terms of our conversation early this morning was, PhD as podcast, PhDs and podcasting, PhD as practice, and the sonic thesis. So where do you want us all to go, Paul?
So I was in a weird kind of step of events. I've been approached to assist on particular elements of supervision or supervision on a PhD, which is a practice-based research project within an educational doctorate, so an EDD. And it's looking at pedagogical approaches with podcasting. So they're wanting to look at the use of podcasting as a pedagogical and research methodology in itself, of which I came about assisting because I've done some work around what's called network learning theory. So the idea that we use networked technology and technologists' inputs to assist communities of practice. And so this kind of came about in this idea that their thesis, their project, the methodology and the results section would be produced as a series of podcasts. So the practice-based element would be that. It's kind of the exegesis and explaining that kind of environment. So you've got the podcast, and then you've got the explanation, which will be through the literature review and the other areas as well. So it kind of came about with that, and with it came we've had some early questions and early ideas, but this is kind of the first time I think I'm going to be lucky enough to be involved in what is going to be an 80-odd% output as a sonic thesis. So that's a pretty exciting thing. And there's a few things that are quite interesting to explore in that within it, we kind of came up with and listened to a few ironic podcasts. I think it's called Teaching Higher Education as a podcast. There was this idea, and then listening to your podcast around Sottle, you took the idea of the sage on the stage, as in the lecturer does the passive learning technique within education. And we were looking at, well, obviously, within what they're talking about, it's around this active learning process.
Yep.
So we moved sage on the stage through to guide on the side. So you're the mentor, you're the facilitator of education. So we came up with peer with an ear as a way to explain the podcasting process for education. So an ability to have a community or a network-led learning process that is built up of peers who have an ear for each other and can communicate and discuss these ideas. And so through the methodology chapter that's going to be podcastable, that's going to be podcasted, it's an idea of taking the focus group, but acknowledging that the rapport can be easily made, barriers can be broken down by having an informal communicative strain, so that you can relax those involved in that process of gathering data, case studies, and kind of surveys, but enable it within that relaxed environment that allows for a better conversation. So that's where we started going, but still acknowledging, and certainly from a performance point of view, that was kind of the lens I put on it. And as soon as you involve a podcast that's got microphones and a constructed environment, you're asking participants to perform. And what does that do to the data that you're collecting? But the overall kind of theories and ideas at this point was with qualitative research data, you're going to gain much better data when the audience, or the participants, understand it's their diaphragmatic movements, it's their voice on the recording, so it's not tainted by the researcher's bias when it comes to transcription and understanding of data. That's as far as we got, but I just wanted to update to say that this is kind of happening now, that I'm looking at or assisting with, and it's massively impacted my research as well, working with this person.
Right. So I am just, there's thousands of things I could say that I'm ready to say. My head has just exploded. Look, can I just go firstly to Megan, and I'll explain why I'm going to Megan for a second. I did a podcast with Megan, and I tend to do podcasts with every single student at CDU and every other student on planet Earth if I can. But Megan, the role of a podcast, the peer with an ear, were you conscious of, and how does that impact on your work when you think more actively about listeners, listening culture, and what I call auditory culture?
Yeah, this is a fascinating conversation, and it's something I have given much thought to. I am naturally a swearer. I'm a rebel at heart, and I swear, but I'm also very aware that it offends other people. So I'm more conscious of controlling the words that come out of my mouth to make sure that the swear words don't just slip out, than anything else. Like, I'm not aware that anybody is listening. I'm also acutely aware that everything that happens is data, and that it can come back to bite me or support me at any time. But and I don't know if you saw me writing notes, but Paul, I always take notes when you write. Man, if only we could get together for, a glass of Pimm's or something. Yeah, something a bit stronger than Pimm's. So the idea of barriers being broken down through the conversational tone, be that through blogging or podcasting or vlogging, I love that whole idea. And I'm looking at using book clubs as both a methodology and a method of data collection. And it's that very same thing. It's the joining with people. And the having the conversation so that there is no bias, and allowing the client to lead where the unstructured questions might be going. I just love this idea, and I'm so glad that it is finally being done. So congratulations, Paul, and you, Tara, too. You both do it brilliantly.
No. Well, what I'd say, Paul, obviously you and I know this, in my previous life before all these random videos, I'm a sonic scholar. That's my gig. And I gained all my expertise in sonic media, and I'm very happy to use that phrase, from the Open University. And the Open University used audio cassettes through the 70s and the 1980s, and changed the United Kingdom through the use of audio cassettes because they were cheap, accessible, domestic technology. And so that's the democratizing component of sound, because video is very confronting. It is, and body dysmorphia, and it can be trolls, on we go, what a nightmare. But sound is subtle. And, a lot of my earlier work, Paul, as you know, I referred to podcasting as whispering in the ear. So as one moves through daily life, washing, going for a walk, looking at the gum trees, cooking, it nests, it marinates in one's life, and you take what you want. So listening is incredibly active because it's in your time and place. So the sound may come from anywhere in the world, but it is gaining a life and a resonance and a frequency in your time and place, and you're taking from it what is suitable for you. And as you and I talked about through all these damn audiobooks I've done in the last year or so, the reason I have configured these audiobooks is so that people are not embarrassed or frightened or going, oh, I don't know how to do that. Research is big and scary. Instead, they can just, water finds its own level. They can take of it what is useful and go again. So there's no one giving them a test at the end. Sonically, they can repeat it and find in an undulating fashion what is useful to them. So unbelievable. Josh, do you want to speak to this? Because obviously you're doing SOS work, and of course the SOS podcast is part of also what Paul is talking about.
Yes, yeah. So I do a lot of my work on SOS with a particular co-author. We're sort of very Kate and Eunice-esque. We're bonded. And we have planned out to podcast everything with everything that comes out. So we'll do a suite of podcasts per paper, basically, is our thinking, to widen the audience. Because I think from my own perspective, I never planned on engaging with any of this, but sonically, it's just so much less taxing, as you said, Tara, to be able to go for a walk or something and to listen to it. And it's just been able to broaden my horizons while I still have enough space, or when I wouldn't have enough space to be able to read from scratch, or I wouldn't have enough interest to read an article from scratch. Yeah, so it's introduced me into the area. So I haven't got any podcasts yet, but it is absolutely on the cards. Yeah, as soon as any of these articles get accepted, we'll
good on you, mate. It's crucial. And Paul, before we go to the wonderful Doug, and good morning, the legendary Doug, Paul, the other thing I'd say to you that is so innovative for me, and we'll talk about this through Twitter messaging as we do through your early morning and my late night and etc., is, Paul, what I find so amazing is this is also changing the artifact exegetical relationship too, because if I took my notes correctly, the results of this thesis are going to be delivered by podcast. So instead of artifact exegetical, so the separation in that way, the notion of we're doing the methods, we're doing the literature review, chunky, book, tick, textual domination, textual colonization, great, knocked itself out. But the results about the role of podcasting are being delivered via a podcast.
Yeah, and then they're live and they're interactive with the very people you're case studying, the very people you're talking to. So that's quite an interesting move, I think, in the research they're doing, because they're looking at this impact within higher education. And so to be able to directly communicate with them the results and then get instantaneous feedback, which can feed back to the conclusions and other elements, as well as build an audience, build a fan base, so to speak, is quite an interesting thought. And there, there's a few barriers to look at and things to understand further. And but as an idea, it's enabling what lots of people want to happen within doctoral thesis, and enabling this new practical output. And it's nothing I've invented. It's just taking the idea of the practice-based research, and it's with a university that are quite open to a creative doctoral program, and quite open to that process of exploring other ways of doing it, and then seeing, through this educational doctorate, seeing that there is a andragogical or pedagogical approach that is significant to students studying within 2023, because that's what matters, is that we're not studying this in the 80s or the 90s where it's a developing field. This is something that is ingrained within students within 2023. So we have to move like this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people forget with all the sort of part of podcasting is part of popular culture now, Paul. Obviously, when I started, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, I think it was 2006. This was a minoritarian, scary, geeky people did podcasting, in our lounge rooms, and they thought we were terrorists, right? So it was a real marginalized cultural formation. It was unpopular culture. Now that it's popular culture, there's this assumption that, right, it's always existed. But its radical resistive history is important. Its poor use in education early on, I think, is significant too. And the great use of it now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good that, finally there seems to be an acceptance of synthesis between a popular cultural thing like podcasts and reflective practice, Gibbs reflective cycle. There's all these educational pedagogical links, the network learning theories, that people are actually accepting, okay, these do go together, and they are you know, a scaffolded skill set that we can use in an educational form, as well as an audience development form, as well as an educational technologists thing. And, you know, it grows and grows and grows.
Oh, magnificent. So nitros, obviously the nitro literature is also now getting quite mature, so that can also feed into it. And I should also summon both Eunice and Kate on this and note the role of, you know, podcasts and vodcasts as well in providing the narratives, the stories of people. And I suppose why seeing Kate and Eunice was important that podcasting wouldn't have done is they've influenced, Paul, as you know, tens of thousands of people around the world who thought they weren't good enough, that this moment of a doctorate had passed them. So in some ways that was the gift of the visuality, that they could see these two incredibly glamorous women, as you do, speaking their truth. And it wasn't about them as a transmissional thing, sending this stuff out. Thousands of people have contacted the three of us, read the work, and those videos pointed to Kate's work, pointed to Eunice's work, and, you know, changed people's lives. So it is undulating. It is much more, you know, as you've said, networked than it was in the old days. If I send a podcast out, see if 5 people listen to it. It's now the audience is no longer the audience. They're part of the soundscape.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting time. I look forward to how this project progresses, but it's also changed my research. It's changed what I'm doing within my own studies, so it's interesting.
Well, if you need a random external assessor at any point from a remote city in Australia, you got it, Paul. You got it, brother. I am so excited by this. And speaking of excitement, we'll go quickly to Kate and then to the legendary Doug. And but like, can I quickly say, I know Julie has sort of left the room slightly, but she will return. Julie has been accepted to the CDU program this week. So Julie has joined the CDU HDR program, and we are so proud and thrilled for her. She will see this on repeat, but we are thrilled with you, Julie. I wonder, you can tell me, Megan, I wonder if is that like an interesting sewing machine behind her that we're seeing in the picture? I'm so excited by that. We'll have to ask her what that is in the corner of her room. Julie, I'm just speaking about you. I was just congratulating you, darling, for your entry to the CDU doctoral program this week. Congratulations, Angel.
So excited. I'm nervous, but very excited. And Bess, I share your pain. I've been there. I'm hoping I'm climbing out. So
you are, and we've all got you. I've got you by the hand in that scary sort of grip round the wrist, where even if you get a bit sweaty, Julie, it doesn't matter. We just hang on, all right? Darling, you'll be through by April maximum. We'll get you through so fast it'll be a joke, Julie. Rock and roll. And speaking of like magnificent humans, we'll go to Kate and then Doug. Queen Kate, talk to us, my darling. Gotcha.
Forget the unmute thing. Can you?
We can hear you, darling. We've got you, sweetheart.
Can you hear me?
We can, darling.
Okay, I think there's something wrong with my
we can hear you though.
One of the reasons I want to do podcasts is for our care staff in all our aged care facilities in the country, because number one, they don't have time to read. Number two, many are non-English speaking, that English is not their first language, but what they do have are wonderful bilingual and trilingual staff, Swahili, Dutch, you name it, they can speak it. But they will never read my papers, that's for sure. But they might listen to a 15-minute podcast on something to do with aged care, nursing care, preventing pressure ulcers, whatever, I hope. Thank you.
So brilliantly said, Kate. For PD, there is no doubt that podcasting is crucial. We use it at CDU, we use it at Flinders, of course. It makes it very difficult for staff to say, I haven't got time for professional development in doctoral education when there's like an 8-minute podcast, right? So the time it takes you to go to the toilet, you could actually put some headphones in while you're on the toilet and do the professional development. But yeah, no, you're too busy because you need to focus when you're in the toilet. So it is a great way for busy humans to provide that direct and respecting people's time. So Kate, I think that's a brilliant point and dovetails nicely, I think, with Paul's point about education, teaching and learning. Beautiful. And look, we need to say hello to the Dougster. Good morning, Doug. How are you, Doug?
Well, I did sleep in.
That's
always.
right. That's right.
But
Better
yes,
effect on women. It's all right.
the last half hour or so, I got the email from CDE saying I've been accepted into this PhD with the stipend. So I thought I'd share. So that came. I could check the phone, but it came within the last half hour. So I'll be accepting everything today and getting started. Oh, it's here. Oh, I didn't expect that.
Now, Doug, if you can, just to your level of comfort, Doug, how do you feel, sweetheart?
Happy, which is odd for me. So no, it's I'm not relieved, but just a joy sort of thing. So yes, I feel good.
So, sweetheart, are you feeling now at this point, and this is great for Bess to see as well, are you feeling now more forward facing? Are you feeling now, because obviously we had the moment last week, you know, the birthday was a moment. So remember we talked about last week for you, Doug, life begins when we make a decision.
Mm.
And do you feel now you've made a decision and a different trajectory of your life begins?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can
I
I
have to put stuff out there on the internet, on Facebook and LinkedIn, and make it official to my sorry, in the cold, I think, and all that. Make it official to my friends and associates and people who don't really know me and but know you and by association.
Oh no, darling, I'm only famous because I know Doug. I am friend of Doug. That's one of Kylie's memes, friend of Doug. But as you can see, she's making that meme right now, can I say, as we speak. Well done, Kylie. Look, Doug, final question from me, and I don't want to put you on, I mean, I'm so happy. Look, I'm weeping like a bloody chick, for which I apologise. But Doug, any advice for humans out there, but particularly guys, I think, particularly guys, who, you know, at a certain big birthday, whether it be 30 or 40 or 50, with all the stuff going on with masculinity at the moment about what men are meant to be doing and how they're meant to be.
Oh God, that rubbish.
Wives and stuff. Yeah, that rubbish, brother. When you've made this decision, have you got anything to say to people maybe close to your age, Doug, who are sort of, you know, as I said, if we live a life, we live in disappointment, who have had to manage disappointments, and then you've made this decision? What would you say to them, Doug?
Oh, it's never too late. And some people just need to get off their ass and do it. So yeah, because there's some people who that I know personally who don't watch these videos, so I can say this, who just give up too easily and thought, well, bugger that, I can't do it because I've got a bad result here or somebody thing, and then I've just left the process of going to university and I'm now stuck in a rubbish job and have a mortgage that they can't afford. So that's just one person. So yeah.
Doug, you're amazing. You are living a life of choices and decisions. And may we all do the same. And I'm going straight to Eunice. Now, if Eunice starts crying, I'm going to start crying. Eunice, good morning, Angel. You and I are linked. Good morning, Eunice.
No, I won't. I was just interested, and I think it would be great to find out what everyone's area of interest and area of research is, you know. I mean, we all kind of chat away, and I was trying to sort of pick up on something you might have said, Doug, that would enlighten us to what it is you're studying. You may have said it in previous ones, or I don't know. But yeah, it's always interesting to hear what other people are doing. And I'm with you 100%. It's never too late. I think I was 51 when I first entered university. And, you know, as you know, 70 when I finally got the PhD, thanks to Tara and Kate. So, yeah, it's definitely never too late.
You are the best, Eunice. And look, we will actually use the last minute, if we can, to talk to Doug and talk to Julie, because they're sort of the stars of our week. And ask, obviously, Julie, you know, has nearly finished her thesis, so we'll get sort of the conclusion of this because it'll blow your head off. But Doug, have a sip of water, Doug, and then
coffee.
have some coffee, you caffeine guru, you, and just tell us a little bit about the importance of the thesis that you're doing, Doug.
it looks at class and climate change in Australia from the perspective of, well, I'm hoping to draw more from the working and underclass than middle class, but there's heaps of information on upper class or middle class people affected by climate change. But I would like to look at working class more so, but we'll see how that transpires. But that's about it. The gist is class and climate change.
And you see everybody's face going, yeah. Lorraine's going, yep, that would be it. Explaining the political movements of Western Sydney is probably the basis of a thesis in and of itself, Doug. That is legendary, and the literature is ready for you, Doug. And look, we'll finish with the legendary Julie. Julie, just so you know, obviously you've been enrolled in other places. You're now enrolled at CDU. Angel, tell us about the thesis that we're about to finish.
I must just say how smooth and wonderful the process was with your colleagues. It was just, I cannot tell you how different a process it is. So I am hoping to illustrate that the way merit is perceived by decision makers impacts the access of women to positions in leadership. And I'm looking particularly at politics and at cabinet. So basically it's an opaque process, as with many other leadership positions. And I'm saying, you know, everyone says, oh, you get to the table on merit. Well, what does that merit mean? And it's socially constructed. It's not a moral performance equated position.
And the people that Julie has talked to, her interviewees, will blow your head off. So Jess, how powerful is this? Thinking through the very nature of merit when we think about leadership, when we think about politics. Unbelievable, Julie. So colleagues, I thank you so much. As you can see, Paul is getting into position to change the universe with Right Club. I thank you all. Lorraine, you are the lady in blue. We love you forever. Doug, congratulations. Julie, congratulations. You are legendary humans. Jess, we're here to look after you. Take care, team. See you in Right Club shortly. Bye-bye. Sleep well, beautiful Donna.